Alright guys, since I may not be in class today, I wanted to do a little example problem kind of similar to the ones that you're going to see on the homework today. So this is kind of from 4-1, the Math Excel activity. So I've got myself a little scatter plot right here. I got number of hours on my x-axis, number of cars on my y-axis. Maybe it's number of cars in the school parking lot. Doesn't really matter hugely. We just want to make sure we know what our units are, our independent variable down in our x and our dependent variable on our y. So we're going to be looking for three things: our outliers, clusters, and gaps. So right away I'm going to just start with my outliers. I can kind of see that my points, my data points form a little bit of a positive association right here. So I kind of have most of my points are kind of in this area right here, kind of a line. So I can immediately say, okay, these two right here, these are kind of not in the right spot. They're a little bit off of our positive linear association. So I'm going to just go ahead and write my two outliers down. And if we remember, our data points are always x comma y. Can't forget those parentheses. So my 2 points right here, my outliers, I've got, let's see, go over 1 on the x-axis up to 600 on the y-axis. So I'm going to say, okay, 1, 600. Now the Pearson website likes you to separate your answers with a comma and a space. So what I'm going to have to do is just do this. So comma after my first point. I'm going to find my second point. Go over to 2 on the x-axis. Go up to 500 on the y-axis. Go ahead. 2, 500. Unlike Sal Khan, I don't really have a fancy little tablet to write on, so I had to make do with what I had. Alright, so now on to clusters. If we remember, clusters are just kind of grouped data points, kind of make a little cluster. So if I look right here, right over here, I've got a cluster, and I'm going to describe the cluster with my x parts of my data points. So I'm going to say between, if I look, my cluster starts at 1, right there, and it kind of ends right around 3. So my first cluster, I'm going to say between 1 and 3 hours. And then for my second one, I can see, okay, starts right around 7, ends at about 8. So my other cluster, let me just draw a little line right there. My other cluster is going to be between 7 and 8 hours. Now remember when you're doing these, that the unit is important. I got to be careful that I'm talking about my x variables. That's my time, my independent variable. All right, so going on to the last one, gaps. Now gaps can be a little bit tricky because there might be a few different gaps, and maybe in some spaces we might not expect. So since I kind of want to look and see where I would expect my data to be with my linear association here. So I might expect some data points to be right in the middle. This is kind of the obvious one, maybe from about 3 to 7, kind of between our clusters right there. So gaps, first one, I might say, just like before, I'm going to draw another line right there. Between 3 hours and 7 hours. All right, so some of the gaps might be a little trickier and not in the kind of middle area, open area right there. Might be kind of up. It might be kind of up in this area. We see we have kind of a space right in here. So I might say that that's between maybe 1 and 3, right? About there. Let's say between 1 and 3 hours. Just kind of trying to save space right now. And then I also have right over, kind of in this area, kind of have another little gap. And again, this might take you a few tries because these are a little harder. Actually, this space extends a little bit more even over here. And there might be a little bit of overlap with our gap. So our first gap was from 3 to 7, but then we also have a gap that's from kind of 3 to 8. And both of those work because this middle gap kind of extends up the middle and this one extends out more to the side. So there might be a few overlapping ones. And that one is from about 3 hours to 8 hours. Let me go ahead and write that here. Between 3 hours, 3 and 8 hours. Make sure you use the hints; those are really helpful. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. I will be around during study hall tomorrow, so come see me if you have any questions on this. All right.